Prater in the ball game. Welcome in our video audience here. Hour number 2, Idaho Sports Talk. Fantastic Thursday. About to get a little bit better. We're joined now by Idaho Vandal head football coach Jason Eck, getting ready to host the Southern Illinois Salukis from the Kibbie Round 2 FCS playoffs, 8 p.m. Mountain Time on ESPN2. Coach, you hear that just utter out of my mouth. What comes to mind, Jason Eck? Pretty big deal up there. Welcome.
Hey, it's a beautiful thing, man. First postseason game in the Kibbie Dome in 30 years, and getting national TV just tells you a little bit about. There's 8 games this week in the FCS second round, and only one's on national TV. So it says a lot about the Vandals brand, the Kibbie Dome's brand, and just a big weekend in Idaho all the way for college football. A little postseason game down in that Mountain West Championship game too. So hopefully it's a good weekend for all Idahoan football fans.
Heck yeah. Shout out to JP's College of Idaho Yotes. They're playing an NAIA playoff game this weekend too. Coach, you go on campus, you get the vibe. You've said that before on this show. Are you expecting a record type of crowd, first playoff game in the Dome in damn near 3 decades? I mean, what's the vibe like on campus and in the town of Moscow?
I had somebody look up the crowd for that 1993 game, the last crowd, and I think it was like about 8,000 something. I think we'll be better than that. I don't know if it'll be quite a sellout. I know we're going to have a little snow up here this weekend, so that might dissuade some of those folks from Boise driving up if there's a bunch of snow in McCall. But I do think it's going to be a good crowd. I'm hoping for around 10,000 or more in there, and that'll be a good atmosphere, man. Whenever we get around 10,000 or more in there, it's a heck of an atmosphere for a football game.
Idaho Vandals football coach Jason Eck getting ready for Saturday night FCS playoffs, the Kibbie Dome. I love it. Coach, I was at that Boston U game. I was one of the 8,000 people there. The stadium was about half empty from what I remember, and hopefully you can get that going on. Let me ask you, though, about your players and the vibe, and everybody's fired up and excited, but you have to coach and keep these guys grounded. Every game, every week at this point gets bigger. How do you coach the non-X's and O's stuff to make sure these guys are ready to go and prepared to play this game Saturday night?
Well, I think we've had a great focus. I think last year, and you can fall into this trap when you're building a program. Last year, I think just making the playoffs was such an accomplishment for the team. But I think we've grown past that now. Okay, now just making the playoffs is not enough. We need to get a playoff win. And it was huge to have a home game and to get that bye week to get healthy. And I think we got a great understanding that, this type of year, there's really not huge talent discrepancies. There's really not huge, motivation discrepancies. Once in a while during the regular season, you might catch a team at the right time. But at this time of year where it's win or go home for both teams, I mean, you're going to get everybody's best shot. And we got to play our best football. All that matters is that 3 hours on Saturday. It doesn't matter about the game on paper or what teams have done up to that point. It's all about how we execute on Saturday. And then we really got to recreate for each guy individually. It's a little different, what it took for you to play your best game this year. We got to recreate and get in that mindset. And we got to do a good job of, hanging loose throughout the day because it's not till a 7:00 kickoff for us. So it's a long day. We can't get too hyped up early. We can't get caught up watching, conference championship games during the early afternoon and waste any emotional energy. We got to save all our energy for that night. And, I think it helped us. The one thing about North Idaho, our last game was at 4:00, which up here also happens to be a night game because it gets dark about 4:00 right now. So I thought that was good. And we changed a few things in our day schedule from how we did it in that Montana game. So I expect us to come out and play our good football, but this is certainly a good team that we got to really start fast against.
Jason Eck, Idaho Vandals, we certainly want to dive into the X's and O's of playing this game against the mighty Salukis, but I wanted to ask about your roster. We're late in the season and every football team is beat up. How healthy is your roster right now? And where is this football team playing its best football?
Well, the exciting thing is I think we came off one of our best games. That first half against Idaho State was probably one of the best halves of football I've ever been around as a football coach. Really, all three phases. Defense created 4 turnovers. Offense was extremely efficient. Special teams scored with a big punt return. So I think we're playing well in all 3 areas. And we've had competitive short practices over the last few weeks because I want to keep the team fresh, but I also want to keep us sharp. Especially having that bye week. So we've done a lot of good work to keep our speed of the game because we haven't played another team in 2 weeks. Really we have, if you look at like our roster we started the season with, we really only have one guy out. Eli Sanchez, who was a good old lineman for us, got hurt in practice the week of the Montana game. But really, that's the only guy, if you looked at like our game week 1 starters, who's out. So I think we're as healthy as you could ask to be at this time of year. It's good to have that bye week. Giovanni's back to 100%. He's had a great week of practice after missing that Idaho State game, and I think we're ready to go and fully charged. Anthony Woods is healthy. He came back and played in the Idaho State game after missing the Weber game. So, like where we're at health-wise.
I love it. Jason Eck joining us here. Prater the Ballgame, Idaho Sports Talk, getting ready. Saturday night, 8 p.m. in the Kibbie on ESPN2, Idaho versus Southern Illinois. I wanted to talk a little bit about the quarterback position because, you have Giovanni McCoy, who's arguably the best quarterback in the Big Sky. And on the last game of the season, a little banged up, you say, nah, I'm not going to start you. I'm going to give Jack Lane this start. You've told me in the past, Coach, you love Jack Lane, your backup. He starts and has the greatest first half of any quarterback in the history of Idaho Vandal football, 6 touchdown passes. What did you learn about the program? These 2 quarterbacks, you've just said Gio's healthy, but it's nice to have 2 quarterbacks who can sling like that, huh?
No, quarterback's the most important position. So you can't get stuck ever where you don't have enough good quarterbacks. So I think we're fortunate. I wouldn't trade Giovanni for any quarterback in FCS. I think he is the best quarterback in FCS football. And then I think in Jack Lane, I think we got the best backup quarterback in the country too. So that gives a lot of confidence. And, Jack is really a picture for all of our guys, just how to be a backup, because he was prepared. A lot of guys kind of wait till they think they're going to have an opportunity to get ready. He stayed ready and prepared every week like he was going to have that opportunity, and then now when the opportunity came, he was ready to jump through that window and play great. So we got a lot of confidence in Jack. I think that gives us confidence too with Vonnie that hey, it's the playoffs, man. It's win or go home. So I think he can be aggressive using his feet and things this time of year. I mean, there's nothing to save now for later. And this Southern Illinois defense is good. I mean, they're one of the top 5 defenses in the country at the FCS level. Excellent statistically. They've really done a good job. So I think it's going to be a great challenge for offense.
Coach Eck, we're at the point of the interview where I've got 2 questions to ask, and I'm not quite sure where to go. But I saw on your Facebook page yesterday, commandeered by your wife, who was talking about losing her cell phone in the laundry, and she was very upset about that. So that's got to be a dramatic family moment that's going to distract you this week.
Hey.
Where my other question was going to be X's and O's. Let's break down the Salukis. Where are they good? Where are they bad?
Well, first let's talk about why bye weeks are important, because that happened during the bye week, and that could have been a crisis, because Verizon won't certify you because the name's in my account, and she's not an authorized user. So thankful we were in the bye week, because she was embarrassed. She didn't want to have me do it, but I had to run down to the Verizon store to say, yes, this is my wife. She can get a phone on her account. Let's get her a phone. She's got 5 kids.
You also throw her under the bus and say she put the damn phone in the washing machine?
Oh, Kimberly.
we all make mistakes. Again, she felt bad enough already. Same thing with players. When players make a mistake, you don't need to jump on them and jump down their throat. They know they made a mistake. That's sometimes where you got to put your arm around them and say, all right, we got to bounce back from this. So she's bouncing back well. She's resilient, just like our players. So
that must have been a tough, 45 minutes, 2 hours for your wife, Coach. She loves that phone, man. She's a mad poster, dude. That must have been brutal for her not to have her phone for an hour.
Yeah, she didn't want to tell me. I saw her whispering to my 12-year-old son about stuff. So what are you guys up to? I knew something was up. She didn't want to tell me, but it was good to have a bye week, because we got that figured out, and now we're focused on Southern. So Southern, veteran quarterback. Okay,
yeah.
This quarterback we coached against when Slice and I were at Southern Illinois. I think Nick Hill, their head coach, is a really good offensive mind. He kind of runs the show on offense. And, anytime you got a veteran quarterback in the playoffs, I mean, they're going to make good decisions. They're going to know where to go with the ball. I think he's very good at IDing matchups and seeing when he has one-on-ones. And, they take a lot of one-on-one shots. And I think that's a lot because he can read the coverage, see what they're in, and know where the one-on-one shot is. So that's scary. They've kind of been relying on big plays. They're not running the ball tremendously this year. They're only about 3.6 yards a carry on offense. So they're not, they're not an offense that's super stable, averaging, they average 5.5 yards a play. So they're not like a Montana State offense that's averaging 8 yards a play and is just prolific. But they have some big play threats. They have some receivers who can do it. They have a running back who got back last week, who'd been out for 7 games, who is a good player, and he had a 60-yard run last week. So big plays have been the key to their offense. We got to limit those. On defense, again, they're outstanding. They give up 15.8 yards a game, or 15.8 points a game, which is one of the top in the FCS. They only give up 2.7 yards a rush. They're very sound. They mix in 3-man fronts and 4-man fronts. Really don't have any weaknesses. I think they only had one all-conference player, first-team all-conference player, and he's a finalist for the Buck Buchanan Award, which is the FCS, Defensive Player of the Year, P.J. Jules. He's excellent, but they really don't have any weak links. I mean, they tackle very well. They're very sound in what they do. They don't bust many things. So, it'll be a great challenge kind of, and we think our offense is pretty good too. So I think it's a great matchup that way. I think the turnover margin has to be an edge for us. Again, we're undefeated this year when we create even one turnover. In our 3 losses, our turnover margin's -8 in those 3 games. They're +8 on the year for turnover margins. I think we got to get pressure on their quarterback. I get mad at our guys because we've given up 28 sacks, which I think is way too many, but they've given up 37. So we got to get after their quarterback and put some pressure on him. He's not a real tall guy. He's about a 5'9" quarterback. So you get pressure around a guy like that in the pocket. Tough for him to always see receivers. And then the last one, the big thing, Prater, is special teams. Again, I think we have a very good special teams outfit, probably one of the top 10 special teams outfits in the country. They've been a little bit more average on special teams. So I think that's maybe the best matchup for us that we got to capitalize on.
I love it. Jason Eck with us talking about the second round FCS playoff game in the Kibbie, 8 p.m. Saturday night on ESPN2. I did see something, and I've heard a lot of good things about Nick Hill, their coach. Heard he's a real smart, real creative offensive mind, like you said, Coach. But one thing I wanted to ask you is this offense, the Salukis, they're lousy on third down, 33% on the season, but they're 63% on fourth down. So this guy
he's aggressive.
Do they miss it a lot on third down and end up going for it on fourth and converting? I mean, is that what those stats are telling me?
Yeah, we kind of do the same thing, ball game. I think both teams sequence a lot of things. And what I mean by sequence is sometimes our third down play call is not necessarily designed to all or nothing convert. It's designed to get us in position where we can definitely go for it on fourth down. So when you add those fourth down conversions to their third downs, they're about a 47% conversion rate. And we're the same way. I mean, we're about a 58% conversion rate. But if you look at the top 10 teams in FCS who've gone for it on fourth downs, both Southern Illinois and us are both teams who like to go for it on fourth down, are aggressive that way. So that's something, our defense has got to be ready. You can't celebrate too much when you get a third down stop, because there's going to be a lot of times where they're going to go for it on fourth down, just like we like to.
Get your tickets, support the Vandals, go see this game, home playoff game in the Dome, first time since Mike Prater was on the beat in 1993. Coach Eck, let's go get him. Always appreciate your time on Idaho Sports Talk.
Hey, appreciate you guys. It'll be a fun night on the Deuce, man. Watch